Now, if you look at these things that is happening, is it what does that say about the future of the cloud that you're saying? Like, do you think it's still like cloud, or do you think it's coming back to on-premise, or is it like a hybrid? Like, where are we going with that? And then to intricate this other question into that, um, you said South Africa is host being like, the first mover now and is getting the investment, and most of the cloud, like for example, AWS now, their first data center was in Cape Town, right? So which is good. But now, with that being said, do you think Africa should own its own data centers? Like rather than, because what I've seen was it, I went to the IT lab, which happened I think sometime 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, and I see a lot of data centers that are just being set up, but most of the time these are data centers being set up by foreign companies in South Africa, right? So your AWS, your Azure, all of these guys setting up data centers here in Africa. So it's not really our, yes, it's their company and they're trying to bring our data closer to us, but it's not our company, it's not an African company. So, like in respect to that, what do you think is the future of that cloud? Yes, we're going to cloud, but do you think it's a full-on cloud? Do you think it's hybrid because of what happened recently? And do you think we should own our own data centers and host our data ourselves? Or should we now continue to wait for AWS, Azure, Microsoft to all come here and deploy the data center before we use it?
So to answer your first question, I think a multi-cloud strategy would be wise. So for example, if you're a company just running on AWS last week, you'd have struggled, or if you're on Cloudflare this week, you'd have struggled, right? But if you had a multi-cloud strategy where some of your stuff is on Azure, some of your stuff is on AWS, some of your stuff is on Huawei, right? You're able to at least operate or move around your assets as and when you need. So I think going forward, yes, cloud. I'm a big believer in the cloud, but I believe that you need to have a multi-cloud strategy. It needs to be hybrid, and you need to be able to allocate your resources depending on what you feel is the risk management or the risk pricing for each hyperscaler, right? So if you believe, for example, that AWS has got less probability of being down as opposed to Huawei, right? That can then inform your allocation of resources into those different data centers, right? So, and then also coming to your second question, right?